Welcome back to the Daily Show with Clay Harris. I'm your host, Clay Harris, and today we have a special guest, Miss Erin Gruelle from Wilson High School. Miss Gruelle was an English teacher who had a unique teaching method which transformed the lives of many of her students. You might know her better from her book, The Freedom Writer Diaries, how a teacher and 150 teens use writing to change themselves and the world around them, or the film, The Freedom Writers, which was based on her story. So let's put our hands together and welcome Miss Erin Gruelle.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for making it in.
Thank you for having me.
I have a few questions for you. The first question for you today is, what encouraged you to share your morals with the classroom and not just stick to the normal day curriculum?
Well, throughout my entire life, I've always wanted to change the lives of students everywhere and teach them really what's important in life. My first few weeks at Wilson High were not a walk in the park.
Tell me why is that?
They were very difficult because the school is so diverse and fights were breaking out everywhere. I was not receiving much support from the fellow teachers either. And I realized that the society they were living in was just detrimental to their future.
Man.
I know. And I didn't want to just go through the motions and keep them busy, but relate to them and make them love learning just as much as I always have.
That's great.
Oh, thank you. I believe that honesty is the best policy. And these kids were more by going on a code of the streets, which is protecting their own race, that is, instead of doing what's right and having integrity. My one student in particular ended up going on trial after witnessing a murder. Yeah. And she decided to tell the truth instead of protecting her own, which was a huge breakthrough for me. I realized that these kids were starting from scratch, and I had to teach tolerance and accepting diversity from a beginner standpoint, and I could really get through to them.
Man, that's great. We need to have more teachers like you in our school systems.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, I heard that your students didn't know what the Holocaust was.
Oh.
Was that surprising to you?
Definitely one of the most shocking moments of my life.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Want to hear how that all came about?
Please, share.
Well, I saw a note being passed around in my classroom. You know, being a teacher, I was like, let me see the note. Got it passed to me. I took a nice little look at it, and it was a drawing of one of my African-American students with huge exaggerated lips.
Oh, wow.
I know. I then tried to explain to the classroom how this is the kind of propaganda that the Nazis used during the Holocaust. And one of my students raised their hand and actually asked me what the Holocaust was.
What?
I know. I then continued to ask my class, I said, hey, raise your hand if you know what the Holocaust is. Guess how many students raised their hand?
3 or 4?
0.
Wow.
0
that's
students.
crazy. I learned that when I was in the 7th grade.
I know, right? And anyways, I knew I had to change that. Like, change the number of people who knew what the Holocaust was.
Yeah.
Them not knowing it was a huge turning point in my career. In that moment, I decided to change my curriculum and teach beyond what the principal had set forth and really get into these children's lives.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right, we're running out of time here, so one last question. How did you learn to have so much empathy for your students?
Well, they really took advantage of their diary entries that I made them write every day.
Yeah.
And they let me into their personal lives. Experiences were being shared that I could hardly even fathom.
Oh, sure.
Very deep. But besides the entries, one night I actually stayed late at the school to assist a group of freedom writers in working on some assignments. And the custodian and I, good friends, he told me that the doors were already locked, it was being 11 p.m., and to go out through the window. No big deal, I thought, okay, we can go out through the window. When we exited through the window, there were 5 cop cars surrounding my car.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, and all my students had their computers.
Yeah.
And they thought that my students were stealing the computers along with myself.
Wow.
Because they thought I was a student.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they did not believe I was a teacher until we found my Teacher of the Year plaque in the back of my car.
Wow.
Thank you. Anyway, I've never felt so discriminated against until that moment. And I realized that that's what my students go through on a day-to-day basis. And so having that experience really opened my eyes to what they go through every day.
So, we've ran out of time here today.
Oh, no.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for all your service, not just for your students, but our society as a whole. This